10 years back at the same city, and it's full circle for us. We are here to present you our 10th edition of Evolve with much in larger size, thanks to the clients. And I know very much few of the clients like Mr. Shakil here, who has been banking with us from 1998. Thank you, Mr. Shakil, as Rupesh was telling me over a discussion. So that tells us and gives us a lot of confidence that where we started with 40 odd customers, today we are all here with almost 120 plus of us. Well, one thing which always has come across for us at Axis has been that how the Indian economy has evolved. If we look at, and personally I head unsecured business loans and equipment finance business, and how I have seen whenever I have traveled Jaipur, the roads have come across in their shapes, broad roads. You feel like you're not in Jaipur, but you are somewhere in the countryside of Europe. The markers are very clear, cameras are out there, citizenship is called out, and most important thing which I would want to mention here, because I have been on the banking side for almost 2 decades now, the businesses have really thrived. And the credit goes to all you guys, the entrepreneurs sitting right behind this particular dice. So a big applause for you all on this particular thing and bringing in the vibe of Jaipur in real size of as a business city. Well, our journey over 10 years, specifically with Evolve, also has some bits of learnings. And this platform right across to you is a direct platform for us to bring and take away all the insights from you as we grow with you shoulder to shoulder. We have seen the shift in banking towards digital. And today, I would not take away the opportunity from anybody in Axis, but I'll make it a point that we proudly call ourselves as one of the fastest digital bank in India today, where today we are able to serve a client right at the bottom of the pyramid from a requirement of 3 lakhs odd requirement on term loan to the businesses of size of 1,000 plus crores, right from single franchise, single window, and single team, which is called Commercial Banking Group of Axis. Thank you so much for making us believe, come together, and also craft the right processes with the right people at the right time with the right product to all of you. So I once again welcome to all of you. And as we start here, I think our dedication towards MSMEs of India will remain. And we have clearly and rightfully, mindfully aligned with the thought of India growing and going to the $10 trillion economy. The topic remains the same. And as I call upon our commercial banking group head and president, Mr. Vijay Shetty, to come and start off the event as we go along with this, one of the historic nights for us from the brand Evolve from Axis. So Mr. Vijay, please come over. Thank you guys.
10 years back, when we wanted to start Evolve, the thought process was India is growing in terms of every aspect in the MSMEs. MSME is the cornerstone for India's growth, which contributes almost 30%. In that segment, if you don't develop the MSMEs, India can't grow. When I see the Indian economy, MSME contribution, it can happen when financial institution and MSMEs partner together and understand the problem statement and solve it, then only it works. That's one of the reasons this is a knowledge series, interacting with all the state, across countries, smaller cities, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, across all cities. Understand the requirement, because today, when I look at it, MSME problem is not specific in pan-India. It is a specific spot, specific district. We have a problem. We need to cluster-wise, we need to plan. That's one of the reasons we started this. And that's one of the, and 10 years, continuously, we are getting encouragement from all of you. That's the reason we are also started a digital Evolve. Today, physically, I can reach only few cities. When I do a digital evolve, I can reach every corner of India. So we started that. In coming few months, we will series of web podcast and the knowledge series will come where the MSMEs get knowledge on that. Earlier, I think 75 years, we have reached 4.1 trillion economy. What we are thinking of in 2032, we are making a 10 trillion. That's the aspiration what we are thinking about. Imagine another 5 to 6 years, we are doubling the number. I think the way the spending capacity of Indians are going up, and Rajasthan is a tourism hotspot. And imagine then what kind of a growth in tourism itself will come. Because I think it's 10 to 12% of the GDPs comes from tourism. So I think it is not only MSME, the tourism is also the biggest contributor for the Indian economy. When COVID happened, I think it's normally we feel that COVID is bad, but personally I feel that everybody's mindset is changed because of COVID. And everybody started thinking, we are getting out from the comfort zone and understanding how I can generate more business. The things of way of doing business changed. When I see the number of registration after COVID, where the government schemes have come, governments have supported because about Make in India initiatives, and it's almost it's doubling the number in terms of the Udyam registration. I think that's what you're feeling that was India across, not only tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities is growing really rapidly. And the bank, as a bank, I can say that we have invested multiple investment in the MSME. And we can say that we have created a different segment, whether it is a micro, small, medium, we can cater everybody, where we can underwrite the customer in every angle. That's what we are trying to do there. When I see Rajasthan, 7th rank in terms of the economy, and 17 lakh crores of GDP and 5.2% of the GDP. And it's not only that it's a big contributor. When I see the number 7th is not, I think when it's the top 10 cities, states where MSME's contribution is there. And it is not one segment. It's not only renewable. They are in the textile, they are in the tourism. Every segment, I think it is growing. And today I met many of the partners here. I can see that the confidence what they are carrying because of the economy is growing here, and that makes a difference. I understand India has a consumption story, and India will grow with the consumption story. There's also, I think, geopolitical, there is a turbulence. My colleague Rajesh will talk about trade and forex treasury part of it. Maybe he will give more insight. But I think it's a temporary what we say, but I feel that sometimes these kind of event also feel that, boss, we look for the option. And suddenly we are in a comfort zone where we say that it is my business, my clients are there. Then you look for 10 countries, number of countries there, we are signing up the MOU. I think there is an opportunity comes there. If I see the 6% of MSMEs are located in Rajasthan, and still I think the growth story continues. We also encourage as a bank to register MSME. The problem here is the micro or informal guys. We have technology where developed, somebody is taking a current account or somebody is taking a loan, they can register Udyam. We are doing it through business loan. We are doing through merchant cash advance, where automatically he can register in Udyam so he can get a benefit out of it. As a bank, we have 10 COEs, Center of Excellency, where we are driving each sector. One of the sector what we selected is the tourism. If I look at when we travel abroad and when you are in India, the hospitality what you get in India, you will not get anywhere. You go to one of the biggest 7-star or 5-star hotel, you go to the top cities of the world, what you get here, you don't get. What are the type of tourism spots, like the heritage city of Rajasthan, what number of tourism growing domestic, not only international, domestic tourism is multiple. If I see the average room cost of each hotel, almost is double or triple. In some of the cities, it is, I think, is skyrocketing. I think that is the kind of spending habit has come for the Indian consumer. That is one of the reasons we are promoting tourism. What we can do a customized solution for you. Whether it is you are setting up a hotel chain, whether you are setting a smallest restaurant, we have a product for you. My request is you should experience that. Reach out to your Axis Bank colleagues. I'm sure they will help you in getting the things done. When we started, when we say that bank want to invest MSME, as I mentioned earlier, it cannot be a one single product fits for each all of us. Every customer has a different product. When as startup, we have a separate department for startup. They will help you in the investment. They will help you to structure the deal. They will take care of all your requirement as a startup requirement. When it's micro, there is a team, small business banking. They take care of end-to-end digital journey. Just to give an example, we are the #1 bank, or when you compare fintech, we do almost 1,000 crore disbursement digitally. That's 750 crores disbursement or 800 crore kind of a number, what you disperse within 3 minutes. Completely account aggregators and customer OTP and signed off the KYC document, we close those deals. Maybe your employees, your vendors, or your suppliers can use those technology for their short-term budget, right? Today when I see that small, micro, informal, they don't get a funding easily because they don't manage the balance sheet better. When you look at a small, medium, there is a small enterprise groups, MEG, medium enterprise groups, and mid-corporate. So every segment, the expertise are different. They can help you in giving a solution. This is the investment what we made, how we are growing. If you see that industry growing at around 16%, we are growing at a CAGR of 26%. That's the MSME book. We have almost 2.3 lakh crore book, where micro is growing faster and also the mid-corporate. It is like every segment is contributing to the bank. This investment, what we are making, the support what we are getting from you, that's one of the reasons we are able to see this growth story. And as an Axis, when I see that, we have a complete product suite. I told you about startup. Somebody starting the company as a sole prop or a private limited company, we can lend him, we can have a tailored product. Then somebody is having a mid-corporate, then we can structure a deal for them, and if it is a project finance, we can fund him. If somebody is having a balance sheet is not very good, but he has a cash flow where the banking transaction happen in the banking and or a GST is paying, then based on the cash flow based lending, we can give a product of OD up to 5 crores. And if somebody is going for an IPO, we have a subsidiary companies where Axis Capital can, or Axis Mutual Fund can help you in structuring the deal and going for IPO. We have a company, subsidiary company called A Trades. If anybody is a turnover more than 250 crores, you can go and register. Your supplier vendor can get a benefit or an invoice discounting can be done there. So it's a complete suite in terms of what all things we can do as a banking. You don't have to go to any other bank or NBFs or anything. We have all the product. We have a product called equipment finance. We are the only bank funding equipment finance. We are launched a couple of years back. That's the one segment where you can, somebody don't want a cash back, but he have a benefit of subsidy or a green energy machines which you want to buy, we can fund those customers. Once you onboard the customer today, when I see that servicing is very critical, what experience you get, the important is whether you have to come to the branch and take the transaction, whether you can, sitting in an office, you can do that. I think that's important today. As a consumer, I think very, very less people go to the bank today. As an individually, we don't carry the cash also. So completely it has become digital. Whether it is happening in the MSME, I think not fully. Still, adoption is yet to come. We have developed the technology where Neo for Axis, where Neo for business, Neo for corporate, where we can integrate your SAP system, ERP, or your Neo for banking, if you are Neo for business, where if you have a tally or any accounting this thing, we can integrate directly with the banking. It will give all the information what is required. It gives a reconciliation, you can send the invoice, multiple things, the bulk upload, all those facilities are there, and maybe my colleagues are there, you can talk to them, then they will help you. If you are not taken right now, you should, I urge you to take a look at it and adopt that. I'm sure most of you guys have experienced the Burgundy or Burgundy private product. This is a unique product or a wealth management or a service to the customer where we can give a many platform service. It's not only banking solution, complete wealth solution for you and your wealth management. And also you can get a circle where the high net worth customers you can interact. And this is a one product when I can say that there is called metal card. This is a product where you can get Forex card, debit card, credit card, multiple things. It's one of the best card. I think you should take a look at it, and you really feel that it is worth. I think I urge you to opting those Burgundy Private and experience the Axis service level there. That's all from my side. I'm sure today have packed interaction with the panelists. I'm sure the panelists who can give advisors, guide us, how their experience, how they are build the business. Maybe we can adopt whatever the learning from them. And also my colleagues are there talk about the what's happening in India as well as abroad in terms of the MSME and the treasury part. Today also with us, our credit head manages Prashant. He manages the entire Axis ecosystem on the underwriting. He may give his perspective, what exactly he looks at as a MSME and when he's looking at the proposal. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best, guys. Thank you.
I must say, and thank you, Vijay, for bringing that. Jaipur remains to be the hub of tourism. I'm hoping that wherever the people are traveling across, they should visit Jaipur and experience the hospitality of India in real form. Thank you, Vijay. Well, I think one thing which comes into my mind, calling for the next dignitary, very important for Axis and for the market, a loud voice in market in terms of the credit outlook. I would want to call upon our Chief Credit Officer, Mr. Prashant Joshi, as Mr. PJ, as we call him, and I would definitely insist, sir, to come over and just give us a glance, an outlook on MSME and the credit build-up, how from consumption to credit outlook is looking for India. Very welcome, sir. Please come over and give you a keynote address. A round of applause for him, guys. Thank you.
Let me start with one problem. And the problem is, I never knew that Vijay is going to have such a comprehensive coverage of what we do in MSME. Now, Vijay, my problem is that so many things I've written over here. I need to now start skipping a few of those. Okay, so I think somewhere there's a coordination mismanagement that has happened. Okay, I think jokes apart, I think what I will do is I'll just try to give my perspective, because I'm in credit. All my life I have been in credit. I've been doing only underwriting. So what I could do is just look at how, as an underwriter, we look at MSME when we give credit. All of us know MSMEs are the backbone of India's economy. I think you know the numbers. It contributes some 30% to GDP. They contribute some 45% to exports, and they employ some 11 crore people. Yet, I think the way we look at it, the formal credit penetration, that is the formal channels, forms only 40%. So there's a huge chunk of 60% MSMEs who are not able to access the formal banking channel. And probably that is where Vijay and Prashant, I think that is where they would be wanting to tap into, clearly because that 60% has to come into the formal banking channel. There are advantages, all of you know, there are advantages of getting into the formal banking channels. And then there are also responsibilities that come along with it. The second point which I was told to probably speak about is that how do lenders evaluate an MSME? Like how does an underwriter look at an MSME proposal when it comes in? The lenders look for maturity and governance standards of an MSME. This is much beyond going the earlier way of doing the regular assessment. The credit assessment is no longer only about collaterals. Increasingly, lenders now rely on multiple dimensions like cash flows and the business stability. The basic items that lenders look for are now the compliance behavior, the GST returns, the tax filings, proper maintenance of books, and the past conduct. Beyond this checks, the banks look at other key factors like we look at the business model sustainability. We want to see what is the diversified customer that the MSME caters to. We look for governance and compliance standards. We want to look at how regular are you, is an MSME in filing the returns, How regular is it in filing your GST returns? How regular are we in filing the ITRs? This tells us what type of financial discipline a MSME has. Then like anything else, and this is something which comes from past, credit rating is an important aspect. Increasingly, I would encourage MSMEs to go in for a credit rating because that will give us some level of validation of what the credit ratings think about the sustainability of the business model. The last thing I think we have seen in the past, we have seen quite a few shocks. COVID being the latest, but prior to that, there was this entire GST, and then there were so many other things. We normally look at how the MSMEs have rode that entire crest and the ebb. So we want to, when we look at it, we look at whether the MSME that we are dealing with, whether it has the ability to withstand shocks. So what are the emerging credit trends that MSMEs must note? Increasingly, we rely on cash flow-based funding, and that is what Vijay said. I think increasingly, while we look at the balance sheet, I think it's very important. We look at the banking transactions, we look at the GST returns. We want to correlate everything together to understand, for us to have a better understanding of the MSME. And that comes with, and along with that comes the entire digital footprint. Okay, so we want to look at the digital footprint, like we want to look at the UPI flows, we want to look at what are the online sales, we want to look at the GST compliances, we want to, and because these are the new age surrogates that we are looking at. The third aspect of it is, and that's again something which the MSMEs will have to look out for. There's the increasing adoption of energy efficient equipments. So the MSMEs which are using energy efficient equipments, whether it is solar, whether EV, I think clearly we do believe that those are the MSMEs who are more forward-looking than the other MSMEs. So there will be some level of advantage or some level of credit point that we will want to give when we look at MSMEs with this. Increasingly, banks and lenders are going to have a dynamic risk-based pricing. That would mean that we will want to look at the risk profile of a customer, and based on that, there will be a movement in the pricing, and that could become more and more dynamic. The last part of it is, I think, the core of MSME, the way we look at it, is that MSME becomes an important part of the entire chain. And therefore, we want to look at the type of supply chain financing that the MSME is in that entire ecosystem. Because if that MSME is supplying to a larger corporate, I think that makes it much more creditworthy than anything else. One of the questions that people ask me is that how does an MSME improve its creditworthiness from a lender's perspective? I think a few things. The first point I believe is that I think the MSMEs need to diversify the funding mix. They have to combine working capital with term loans, supply chain finance, trade credit, and even probably debt markets like CPs and NCDs. Second is they need to strengthen the governance. Like I said, very important for us to understand what are the governance standards that MSME follows. We do understand that the governance standard or standards may not be as big or as great as the governance standard of a larger corporate. But I just want to, given the size of the MSMEs, we just want that the governance standard should be in line with the size and the type of business the MSME has been doing. Like I said, we like to have MSMEs with a credit rating. We like to look at the financial discipline the MSME is following. Like I said, again, for us, it's becoming very increasingly important that the filing of GST, of the GST returns or the filing of the ITRs is so much more important for us nowadays. One of the things that we used to have a challenge with earlier was that quite a lot of transactions of an MSME were not getting routed through the proper banking channel. Things have changed. Things have substantially changed. And for us, I think, and as also for you, increasingly, it's so very important for all transactions to get routed through the proper banking channel because that gives us the comfort and that also shows up in terms of the better numbers that you can show on your books. So what is the future of credit for MSMEs? I think increasingly we all know about AI models. We do believe, and we ourselves are also looking at investing, we do believe that AI models will try to integrate rather than balance sheet, they are going to try to integrate banking, GST, supply chain, everything. All that will get triangulated or put together to decide on what will be the credit score. So increasingly, I do believe the next 2 years, 3 years, we'll have AI-driven models which will tell us the credit score of a MSME. One important thing that we believe in is ESG. And we have adopted ESG in a big way. So we would want to look at what are the ESG adoption that the MSME has done. The last thing is the credit is now shifting from one-off transactions to long-term relationships. So I would urge you to have a good equation with your lenders, be transparent with the lenders, because I as a credit person, all my years, I always appreciated somebody who has come and told me much in advance that this is a problem. So I do give a lot of credit to people who come on their own. They come and tell, okay, this is a problem, or this is what the sector is facing, and this is our challenge, this is what we are doing. Rather than we having to just face a brunt of a problem, and then there is somebody coming and telling, oh, this happened, that is why there is a problem. So I would urge for a long-term relationship. It's extremely important that we have that MSME and the borrower and the lender has to have that equation wherein that flow of information should be seamless between the two of them. My closing points, I think from a credit angle, while that's one thing that I always say, that being a credit guy, I can never be popular, because I may approve 8 proposals. When I reject 2 proposals, Mr. Vijay and Prashant come fighting to me. Okay, so that 8 out of 10 can also become 98 out of 100, but they will forget the 98 that I approved, but they will fight with me for the 2 proposals. So, but believe me, I think we in Axis, from the credit angle, we look at ourselves as somebody who will want to strengthen business equation with the MSMEs. So that's what we will always be. Second thing I wanted to tell you, and this is, of course, I'm sure Vijay and Prashant would be telling, we as a bank believe big time on MSMEs. We believe our growth has to come from MSMEs. Being a credit guy, for me, volumes can come from a large corporate, but the real banking business will come from the MSMEs. And looking, the large corporate is a very crowded market. If somebody has to give money to Reliance, I think basically all the 50 banks could stand there and give money there, right? But whether it makes sense, yeah, it will make sense. It makes sense from a volume perspective. But for us, MSME is a focus, because we believe, like I started off with, there is a 60% market which is not penetrated. Second thing is, I believe, like a large corporate, how much larger it can grow. But an MSME today could become probably a mid-corporate tomorrow, and it could become a large corporate for 10 years from now. So from a bank's perspective, our philosophy is to invest in the MSME today. And if we build a good relation, that MSME is going to be with me for the next probably 20 years, 30 years, because that MSME grows, it becomes a larger and larger, and we would be, as a bank, and all the products that Vijay mentioned, those are the products, that's the entire ecosystem we are building, so that for every segment of the borrowers who come to us, we need to have a product. And that's, again, that's something which he alluded to. We are trying to tailor make as many products as we can for the segment, for a particular segment. The last thing is, I think, like I said, information, the digital information is the new collateral. Increasingly, we are also learning it. I'm not learning, we are also used to looking at balance sheet, looking at bank statement, but increasingly, I think we are also learning to see whether we can use all the digital footprint that is available, whether we can use that to make our credit decisions, rather than just depending on the old way of balance sheet. I hope I have not repeated what you said, Vijay. Yeah, I think this is what I had, and again, I do believe, and we do. I just want to tell you that as a bank, we believe MSME is a very important segment, and of course, therefore, it is now being driven by two of our best officials. We want to make it big, and at the end of it, I think the mandate MD has been giving both of them is that we need to become primary bankers to as many MSMEs as we can. And we want to be the primary banker for the MSME segment. And basically, if there's anything we can do better, I would encourage you to tell us. But ours has been a journey in terms of continuously refining our products so that we are in step with you in terms of how you want to grow.
So, well, that brings me to the next session, and I think that session is very important for us because as a bank, we have understood very clearly one thing, and Vijay mentioned, and then Prashant sir echoed, 45% of our exports from India are from MSMEs. I mean, that's a huge number. For every 100 rupee which is going out, the worth of services or goods are going out, are from the MSMEs. And I think not taking much of a time, I would like to call upon the voice of Treasury Market Sales for us, Brijesh Chalil. He heads the Treasury Market Sales for us, has a fantastic outlook in terms of last 2.5 decades of how the markets are moving, and will also be able to bring in insights how and what things will make or break things from a perspective of global exports. And yes, I would request Brijesh to add up the Trump piece for us to understand how the tariffs are going to move better. So over to you, Brijesh. Thank you so much. A big round of applause for him, guys. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Personally, I'm very excited to be back here in Jaipur. As Vijay said, the Pink City. It's a city that I think effortlessly blends both timeless tradition and, I was going to say new businesses, but I would say fresh, new, renewable energy. Happy to hear that fact about Jaipur. I did not know that. So officially welcome to the 10th edition of Evolve. So this is, in some sense, a masterpiece that we've built. And you've heard our Chief Credit Officer, you've heard Vijay speak that, in a way, for Axis Bank, MSME is at the very centerpiece of what we do. And Evolve is then at the center of this whole piece that we do, and it's our educative piece. It's also a piece where we kind of felicitate mid-corporate as well and MSMEs as well. So over the next maybe 15-20 minutes, while PJ, as we fondly call him, has given you some gemstones on credit and how to handle your balance sheets, and Vijay has spoken about all the product suites that Axis has, I'll try to give you some perspective on what's happening globally. So we'll cover this in 3 parts. We can't, not talk about Trump and tariff. We will talk a bit about Viksit Bharat, what does it take to get there, and what's happening on macroeconomics. So this slide, I was talking to some of you earlier, and everyone's worried. I heard some people very concerned. A lot of my business is impacted, exposure to the US. So this slide on the left is where the world was pre-Trump. So India was paying about 3% tariff, like most of the world actually. It was costing us about $2.3 billion. Then on 10th April, the world got hit by about 10% tariffs. Everyone got hit by that broadly. Effectively, it was Section 232 which was used, which I would say is fairly moderate because Section 232 is something where the US commerce industry actually does some research, understands which sectors they got to add tariffs on, and that was levied, which cost India about $6.1 billion. Subsequent to that, on 7th August, we got hit by the 25% reciprocal tariffs. This was the first one. This effectively costs us about $9.6 billion. Of course, Trump is doing a lot of these under the emergency powers, which itself is questionable. There are courts that have questioned whether the president can use these emergency powers for tariffs, but the jury is out on that, and Trump, meanwhile, has levied the next 25%, which has today, assuming it continues for the whole year, which I don't think it will, will cost us another 14.2. So that's $30 billion in punitive tariffs for India. But if I strip out the 14.2 And if I look at, 25%, it still, feels how we're going to do business. What I want you to know is the world has also changed. So the average tariffs for the whole world today already stands at 18%. So जो हम 25% pay कर रहे हैं वो उतना नहीं है. So idea is, which is why most people say if we are closer to 20, that's better for us. Obviously, if we are towards 2025, we'll still find ways to go about. Those are obviously the sectors which are impacted. And I know Jaipur will have some of these sectors which would get hurt. But hopefully some of this will get clawed back. You must also understand how Trump is looking at tariffs. So the US has a trade deficit, has a fiscal deficit of about $36 trillion, which means they need to pay about $1 trillion in interest alone. So he's also looking at tariffs to generate some part of that. So you can see the income that America was making through tariffs. So America's imports are about 3.6 trillion, 3.5 trillion. So in July, अभी तक August का data आया नहीं इस पे. अगर आप July का data देखेंगे, तो it's already showing over 10%, which means this is generating $350 billion for America in revenues. Is that sustainable? Obviously not, because nobody is going to continue to then export, things will withdraw. So we don't see this sustaining, but just telling you, and this will, if we meet again in 2-3 months, this arrow will probably have gone higher because, the punitive tariffs also would have hit. But this is how the goods are consumed by US. So what I want to tell you is that between capital goods and intermediate goods, that's almost 60%. So what's effectively going to happen is whatever we are selling to the US, effectively will go into some production, and finally some part of it is going to get picked up by the US consumer. So we don't see, if this continues, the same people who elected Trump will probably push him out. So he's aware of that, and hence we don't see this being very sustainable. जुगाड़ू तो सब होते हैं. तो आपको वो जो नीचे के 2 ग्राफ दिख रहे हैं, we just wanted to show you how the world has also done it. Or look at China, for example. So this graph shows you how, the 2 graphs basically. So if you look at the bottom ones, the ones that are sliding up, they basically show you what China says we exported to US and what US says we actually imported from China. वो हमेशा same नहीं होता. There's errors and omissions always. But what you will notice is as those graphs go higher, those have widened and those have inverted, which basically means China is saying, for example, we've sold 600 billion to the US, but US is saying we've only imported, say, 500 billion. Where's this difference coming from? This is under invoicing. This is rerouting, ships going through different ports. So people find ways, and one more way you can see that is happening is in the actual errors and omissions of global trade data. So if you see global trade data, errors and omissions always net out in the end. So अगर आपने under invoice किया, you still have to pay the supplier some way, and that gets balanced out. But if you see the US, China, errors and omissions, it's only ballooning. So all of this is not sustainable. So the point we're trying to make is that, these tariffs are temporary, and if they continue, people will just find other ways to do it. And today we're trying to discuss what are the other ways and how do we kind of offset some of those. Industrial policy sounds very boring, but today it is the cornerstone of what we have to discuss. Because aapka, PLI scheme, whether it is SEZs, SOPs from the government, everything gets covered in these RTAs now. So people are not doing global agreements, people are doing regional agreements between 2 countries, FTAs. So you can see the depth of FTAs are becoming more, RTAs are becoming more and more, colorful. Number are going up. What slightly worries us in markets is the second wave of tariffs. So I'm assuming all of this will get sorted. If it doesn't sort, like I said, goods will go around from different countries. But just so that history hopefully doesn't repeat itself, you can see this chart here on the bottom left. You can see this big hike. So in 1930s, when there was a bit of a recessionary trend, the US put out something called the Smoot-Hawley Act, which basically said, let's get out of recession, let's charge all the countries we export. So 20,000 goods were charged 60% tariff. Right? Not very dissimilar to what Mr. Trump is doing now. Of course, hopefully Trump is negotiating. It was considered one of the world's worst economic kind of mistakes made. After that, the kind of world slumped into literally recession. Everyone came to their senses. GATT was set up. The World Trade Organization was set up by the US because people said you have to collaborate. You cannot do this, tariff system. But what many countries did at that time, just to tell you as a retaliation, was they said, you want to lift tariffs of 60%? I'm just devaluing my currency 50%. So I hope nothing like that happens here, but tomorrow, and this impacts all of us in this room, right? Tomorrow, if things go further south or, things continue like this, what is stopping tomorrow China from saying, I'm devaluing my currency 25%? Dollar rupees going to just fly over 100 overnight, right? So weaponization of currencies is something that has happened in the past, hopefully will not repeat. Thankfully, we have very proactive government. You can see the number of FTAs that India is signing up. Top left, Spain, Italy, France, Japan, Germany, all work in progress. If you look at the right side, total, it shows you India's exports, 443 billion. Out of the 443 billion, about 130 billion were being done through FTAs, which were very good for India. So, aap sab MSME ho. Point I'm trying to make is industrial policy is becoming very, very important. See that your industry gets lobbied, gets built into the policy so that it gives you a bit of protection against all of this global shenanigans that are happening. So today, that pink box in the middle, about $200 billion of FTAs are being, free trade agreements are being negotiated for different industries, where it's India, Spain, India, Italy, India, France, India, Japan. So by the end of 1 year, when we meet again, hopefully, 330 billion out of 443 billion is going to happen through individual country FTAs. That's the importance of industrial policy. On industrial policy, just want to tell you, PLIs, India has already announced 14 schemes, 2.1 lakh crores, and it's been very successful. If you look down, you can see imports, and earlier India was a net importer of mobile phones. Today, India has become a net exporter of mobile phones, mostly, of course, on Apple's because of Tata's, but the point is the PLI schemes are helping. And aap sab mostly, you're in services, but a lot of you are in manufacturing. So just want to tell you that India's share of merchandise, is barely 2%. We are such a large economy. We've already hit 4.6 trillion, 18% of world population. It's time we take that needle up. On services, we are already at 4%. But if you look at the top right, you'll see one thing that within services also, we are in high-end services, we've gone from 4 to 8%. So the urge to all of you, MSME, is, try to move up the notch of manufacturing. Don't only stick to base level manufacturing. Last bit, just to show you one tidbit on semicons. I was the speaker at the semicon which happened in Delhi last week. We're very impressed to see India announce $10 billion for a country our size. That's 0.3% of our GDP literally announced for semicons. So the government's very keen on manufacturing this whole ecosystem for MSMEs and for manufacturing. So with that, we covered the tariff part. Very quickly moving to Viksit Bharat. Again, just, ye kafi comparison hota hai, India, China. We just plotted out for the next 20, 30 years what happens in the current growth rates. So just assuring you, by 2050 also, we will not have overtaken China for sure. We will have overtaken a lot of countries. The red line in this sense is India. But we would have definitely overtaken a lot of countries. But what we should pay more attention to is the low per capita. See, China's per capita is almost $13,500 per person. India, by the way, is only at $2,800. US, I couldn't even plot here. It's out of the charts. It's $89,000 per person or $85,000 per person. So I think real wealth is created, as PJ was saying, that it gets created across, hopefully in the middle part, which is the mid corporates and the MSME, and then trickles, and the trickling down of wealth is what hopefully India is hoping for. Two graphs here very quickly telling you that if you need to have faster GDP or faster growth, it's a combination of better quality capital and labor improvement. So we need higher quality labor. We always thought we have a demographic advantage, which we do, but it's not, wo jo abadi hai hamari, it's a great boon, but it's not going to stay forever. So that, TFR rate, your total fertility rate, as they call it, we are actually below that, 2.1. So technically, we have already started the aging process. So if you see this bulge from 0 to 30, I would take anyone below 30 as young. So 0 to 30, that bulge is only going to give us 30 years of boom time. After that, we lose that. So so idea is we have to grow as a country rich faster before we get older. Thankfully, some tailwinds that are helping us. So all the ladies in the room can actually, pat yourselves, round of applause to all of you, because thankfully, the women participation in labor force is a boon. It's gone from 23% to 41% in the last 10 odd years. If you see the number of hours worked, they've gone from 15 to almost 40. So this is giving some tailwinds to the whole, India social boom. Quickly, what we're just trying to tell you here is that 2024 was actually a good story. We saw a lot of credit uptake happening. 25, we saw a bit of slowdown. We are seeing capex definitely by the government. But one trend that we are seeing within this is the best capex is not only that goes in buying land and building, right? So more investments in plant and machinery are again things that fuel the GDP of the country and will help us hit the 10 trillion mark sooner. We are also seeing a trend where states are becoming a larger part of the load than the center is. So we saw 2024 where a lot of them picked up. They are averaging out now. This is some color on how states are spending that money. But what is good is you have a country where the center and the state together are spending. We had last year where private sector was spending a lot. There was a bit of slowdown, but I think it's reversing now, and we'll cover that in some slides. Again, we've seen the number of projects, whether it is Bharatmala, Sagarmala, whether it is the Udan airport, 92 airports coming, 4 crore more people will fly. For tourism, that's great. The connectivity, we've already talking about the amazing roads. All of these infra projects finally trickle down to benefit MSME only. So please, if you haven't noticed yet, do take notice. What is good is India is not only doing this, we are also building the digital infra. So the digital infra, whether it is up airport pe jate ho, whether it is your Digi Locker or your Digi Yatra, or of course UPI, which is going global now. You've got OCN, you've got ONDC, you've got FASTag, you've got smart metering. ये सब कहाँ था 10 साल पहले? So all of this is again a massive boom that is pushing our economy on the back of cheap internet. आप US जाइए, 1 GB of data costs $5 to $6. यहाँ 1 GB of data 15 रुपया, cheapest in the world. Of course, everyone is still watching videos, but the point is we are also using that internet very cheaply to kind of narrow the gap between the haves and the have-nots. Just 10 years ago, India consumed 2% of global data. Today, we consume over 20%. And mind you, all of this is happening on the phone. Okay, so 98% of internet usage in India is on smartphones. आप अभी सोचिए, as cable lines come in, you have 5G, 6G, you have all of this coming in. Obviously, you have every device becoming smart, Internet of Things coming in. Imagine the boom that can actually happen in India. Last part, macroeconomics. Globally, despite all the gloom and doom that we talk about, Trump tariffs, all of that, you can see the red chart. The US economy, which is obviously the largest economy, is powering through. Europe is also not bad, it is picking up. Why is this happening? On the top left, it is still supported by fiscal expansion. So what has happened is post-COVID, all central banks pumped in a lot of money. That money, I would say half of it is still out there. And which is why agar log aaj IPO kar rahe hain, people are still saying markets are buoyant. वो पैसा किधर से आ रहा है? That money is still there. The central banks haven't sucked all that money out. But if there's too much money, what is the reaction then? Then the value of that money has to fall, which is the bottom left. What you're seeing is the value of the dollar is falling. So today we have something called as the dollar index. It is trading at about 96. It had peaked at 114. So the value of the dollar is slowly falling, which is again what Mr. Donald Trump wants. Because what he wants is a cheap dollar or a weak dollar, which will help his exports. He wants low interest rates. He's changing the, you all heard that the FOMC or the Fed cut rates 25 basis He wants rates down because जिसका 36 trillion debt है, उसको ब्याज थोड़ी भरना है ज़्यादा. तो वो यही चाहते हैं कि rates नीचे रहे, currency weak रहे. So आप वो हिसाब से we can see how India should move. This is just a screenshot on the left. You can see the Fed rate is now in the 4.25 band. ECB cut rates a while ago. Europe is having a different problem. Inflation is still high. Growth is slow. Rates are already at 2. Abhi kaate to kitna kaate? Bank of England at least has some way to go. UK is of course not so significant nowadays compared to what Europe possibly is. Europe is trying to, start spending a lot more, defense, multiple things. But they do have their challenges because inflation high and low growth is not really helping. Japan is the only country, by the way, that is going the other way. They were hiking rates. They're at 0.5%. Inflation is almost at 0.8, 0.9, which Japan hasn't seen in a long time. But they had a recent, political hiccup. So I think they'll wait before they move on rates. China, very unique problem. People keep saying China is growing. Obviously, China was growing for 20 years at 10%. Now they're averaging sub 5. You can see the top line, the red line that shows Chinese growth credit is still looking good. But when we deep dove into it, we actually realized private credit is coming down and it's government credit that is keeping it up, which means there's a definite slowdown in China. You can see that in inflation. Inflation is barely sub 1%. And you need inflation for growth, right? नहीं तो अगर सबको लग रहा है कि rates घट ही रहे हैं तो कोई आज खरीदेगा नहीं. People buy goods because people worry that tomorrow they'll be more expensive. I'll rather buy the goods today. And they have a problem with their main challenge is their tax receipts are not coming in. So they have a bit of a real problem there. The only good thing for them is if you see the Chinese yuan, remember I spoke about weaponization of currencies. कि logically Trump ने China को almost 40-50% tariff लगाया. Till now China has not depreciated its currency. Their currency remains broadly where it is. And but the saving grace for them is their inflation is so low, and over the last 5 years it has remained so low that today their cost of goods to manufacture something and sell it is cheaper by 18%. So they are enjoying that 18% benefit quietly because inflation, low inflation के ये फायदे भी होते हैं. But anyway, like I said, let's see how finally US and China deal, because this whole war is finally US versus China on tariffs. We are collateral damage in the middle. Coming to dollar rupee, everyone's kind of hot favorite. We've had two RBI governors in this graph. We had Dr. Shaktikanta Das, and you can see the style of rupee management, and then of course now we have Mr. Malhotra who's come in. So one thing you can see, the green line is where every time RBI sold dollars because they thought rupee is weakening a lot, and the red line at the bottom is where they bought dollars because they said, "Okay, enough money is coming in, we can buy the dollars." So in the earlier era, what we were noticing is that, especially 23, 24. It was fairly narrow. The volatility was not much. So that is why all of us felt dollar rupee was not a volatile currency. But the new era has allowed for market volatility. So that is why we are all feeling the jitters. Dollar rupee swaying from 86 to 88. The second thing you will notice is there are more greens than reds. It's not a good sign, which means there are rupees more on a weakening trend, and RBI has actually had to sell dollars to cool the market. So our reserves are about 690 billion, and we are quite concerned that we have to spend that. This graph that you see here is the forwards market. So what RBI many times does is they will sell dollars and then push it into a forward. That forward actually has to be utilized. जैसे आप लोग भी forward contract करते हो, RBI भी करता है. ये forward contract जब utilize होगा, technically हमारे reserves और घटेंगे. That's $70 billion. RBI was hoping that we don't have to sell this actually because they were hoping for FPI and FDI, two flows that come in. But the top left graph shows you the FDI flow. FDI, as you know, is foreign direct investment that, you tie up with a company, they are investing into your company. FDIs have come to near zero. Some problems are there in a good way also because India has become such a hot value market that IPO exits are happening and private equities are taking their money out. If you look at FPIs, which is just money coming into equity market, simple buying, selling of stocks by FPIs or in GSECs, that is also not a positive story. आप सोचिए ना, if you are a hedge fund, why would you put money in India and buy Indian GSECs? Indian GSEC is at 6.5%. Hedging cost 2%. 4.5%, so you can buy US Treasury and just hold it, right? So it's not a very hot story. So interest rate differentials between India and US have to widen. Hopefully these cuts will help that. Just a graph to show you that India is doing a lot on internationalization of rupee. Gift city aaya hai. People are allowed to do NDFs today, special Vostro account tradings. But it will be a while before any currency, whether it is rupee or euro, can replace the dollar. But those steps have started, baby steps. This was a graph that showed business confidence was a bit weak. And if you notice, most of this is before June. It showed that there were some credit concerns. And this is why in June, RBI did those massive, cuts which they did. They cut rates by 50 basis. They cut CRR. They provided liquidity. That is what a central banker can do, right? And then, of course, we've seen some green shoots. You can see the credit offtake that has started after that. And similarly, RBI could do that also because from an inflation perspective, we feel inflation has broadly bottomed out. So this black line is currently where we are. The green line or the gray line is the core inflation. It has not gone below 4%. So we think inflation up. So if you're talking to your bankers for lower rates, I don't think that's happening in a hurry. So please pick up. Liquidity is there, but we don't see rates coming down in a big way. India GDP story is still very, very positive despite all of this. We've had, obviously the GST has been a boon. So you had the RBI come and cut rates, give liquidity. You had the Ministry of Finance come and give GST cuts to prop up your economy, right? And maybe some more things coming up as Diwali is coming closer. But the GDP is looking fairly healthy. I'm saying our worst case, best case, dekhiye, 670, 640, not a bad space to be in. Just to show you how lucky we are, barely 3 countries above 5%. Look at the GDP growth forecast for most countries and see where we stand. So quick, last slide, just some takeaways for all of you. Tariff industrial policy is here to stay. It's the cornerstone. As MSME, please lobby. See that your industries, get mentioned in that. We think that 50% will not stay. There will be obviously negotiation and that will come through. It's bilateral trade between country to country, not globalization anymore. Viksit Bharat, we don't have much time. We have 20, 30 years to grow rich before we grow old. Growth in productivity will be led by capital expenditure primarily. Strong impetus from the government, clearly, both soft and hard. Macroeconomics, there are challenges. China especially, dumping could be a problem. But the challenges in US and EU also continue. But in India, we think cyclical recovery, especially H2, will be definitely better than H1. And the long-term prospects look good. Thank you.
When you get to hear Brijesh in 15-20 minutes virtually, without a flight, it takes you around the globe. So thank you, Vijay, for that. Brijesh, for that much insights for us, and especially in these times where all of us and most of us who are exporters or importers are continuously looking at that market. I'll not take much of away the time. I would want to try and bring upon one of the most important sessions which we do, because you've heard all the bankers speak till now. Bankers talking, it's boring. We want to hear some of the builders of MSME community, some of the makers, movers and shakers of the community who have been doing this. So I would like to call upon first one of the banker who would have a conversation with them. And as PJ sir was continuously mentioning, there are 2 folks who are holding the MSME fort for us, one being Vijay and the other is Prashant Srinivas, who heads mid-corporate and the MEG, that's enterprises group on the mid-side for us. And he has been there within the banking for almost 2.5 decades. A strong personality on building the MSMEs, right from the corners of building domestically to taking them to a level of IPOs and making them global, in true sense being a banker partner. So I would like to welcome Prashant. Please come over. Well, I would not take much time in inviting Mr. Rohan Agrawal, who is the Managing Director of RAD Global Private Limited, a leading manufacturer and exporter of technical textiles and outdoor shading solutions. He holds a degree of electrical engineering from the Southern California University and an MBA from ISB. I think within he has built a very strong foundation on both the technological side and also holding on the management forte for him. A brand is very well recognized. His leadership has emphasized a lot of innovation, a lot of sustainable growth, and has been building a high quality business. Welcome, welcome Rohan. Welcome to you. The next guest whom I would like to invite over is Mr. Pratik Agrawal, who is the founder for Solar 91, a fast-growing renewable energy company that has been at the forefront of India's real solar transition. An experienced entrepreneur and a co-founder, Pratik brings a demonstrated history of building and scaling businesses in the renewable and environmental industry. He holds a BTech from on the chemical engineering from IIT Roorkee. Over to you, Prashant, and both the gentlemen for us to try and bring about the perspectives on how MSMEs are building the new India. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohan. Thank you, Rohan, and thank you, Pratik, for joining. Folks, I think we're running the session late, so I'll keep it a little brief. But I think we didn't want to miss this opportunity where we have our customers, entrepreneurs who kind of share their journey, and so I'll keep it going. So Rohan, let me start with you. कैसे शुरुआत हुई? What is the story? If you can just take us through the initial days and the journey till now.
Good evening, everyone. So I was studying in the US and then I worked there for 3 years. And वो मारवाड़ी जीन तो बचपन से रहा है. So I always wanted to start my own business. That time I came to know about technical textiles, which is the foundation of our business. Technical textile is basically all application-oriented textiles. Dry fit, even a band-aid is part of technical textile. So I went to Germany and I learned this technology over there at the Karl Mayr Academy. And then I came to India in 2012 and obviously Axis Bank and my father were the two people who helped me finance the business.
Okay.
And then we invested in the technology and we started the journey. अब उस time business का ज़्यादा idea नहीं था, so we invested in very expensive technology and we were targeting the Indian market. So we realized that the profitability is not coming.
Yeah.
And you know कहते हैं ना कि जब ज़रूरत होती है तो आदमी को मेहनत करनी पड़ती है.
जी.
So I started running around and because I was very comfortable with the international market.
Yeah.
I went to many trade shows, I knocked on many customers' door. And धीरे करके we developed many products that were more fit for the international market. And because we had the right technology in place, we could create products that most of the other Indian manufacturers were not able to deliver. And that is what changed the shape of our company. And we also talked to a lot of customers, and once we came to know about their products, we integrated many products which were parallel in the market. And with that, we could diversify, and that's how the business grew.
Yeah. That's great, Rohan. I think one of the things that I've observed in MSMEs is that they are a little hesitant to kind of cater to the export markets, and I think they draw inspiration from the fact that you studied, आप वापस आए और opportunity देखी तो आपने शुरुआत भी की. तो good. प्रतीक जी, आपकी कहानी शुरुआत कैसे हुई और you know, I think Vijay said the capital of renewable energy. तो वो opportunity देख के आपने शुरुआत की?
So it's true, sir. So I was working with the Reliance Industries in 2013-14 as a chemical engineer, and at the time a vision came in the mind that there is a need of the climate change or sustainability, which we are talking right now as a ESG requirement and all. So, and I could see the opportunity of growing a sustainable business also with that front, because 2014-15 only the solar was getting popular in India, and there was a need of this actually the sector in a country like India. With that vision, we started in 2015 with my other co-founders, Sandeep, Dhaval, and Saurabh Vyas, all from the IIT graduates at different IITs. So we started Solar 91, and we have seen the era where we were convincing the IRR of the solar project to the industrialist and the residential customer to an era where customers are upfront coming to us and asking that we want to put up the solar plants. And now the era of started by Prime Minister Modi ji, that they are solarizing all the village level feeders and providing the power to the farmers in the night also and in the daytime also. Otherwise, there was a big problem that they were getting the power in the night only. They had to woke up whole night and they couldn't do their work in the daytime also. So there were the effect on the studies, there were the impact on the their productivity, which is getting resolved. And today we can proudly say that Rajasthan is the #1 in the renewable energy. And the country, Rajasthan is the #1 in the installation of the Kusum energy projects also, which is also a big achievement for us. Thank you.
Yeah, good. So I'll come back to you, Pratik. Rohan, coming back to you. I think from a business that you run, I want to just pick one point about innovation. I think you said that innovation is critical. You came up with products to global markets. If you want to share anything with the audience and our MSME clients, how should they look at innovation?
See, I think innovation is the backbone of any business.
Yeah.
Innovation is the difference between profitability, good profitability and average profitability. And I think even in this tariff time, we have retained about 90% of our business with the US market, because the products we are making for them, nobody else is making. So although we have compromised a little bit, they have compromised a little bit, but because of innovative products and which are exclusive to us, we have some joint patents with our customers. And because of that, they also feel that, it's a short-term thing. They are not finding for other or going for other alternatives. Okay. That's what innovation gives you. So I think in today's time, even Brijesh ji spoke about how we want to go after better manufacturing. That will all lead to innovation, and profitability will eventually come from there.
So, Pratik, if you can just share your thoughts about, adoption of solar energy for MSMEs, unko kaise benefit hogi, be it in terms of costing, improving profitability, of course, going green.
So, sir, basically for MSME, the most priority thing, as Rohan also told, is the profitability. So once you are going for the solar energy, your electricity consumption is going to reduce and yourself is getting profitable. You can reduce your price of the product. You can be more competitive in the market. And this is like the free raw material coming from the sun. You should definitely utilize it. There is no other way to think about it.
I'll come back to you a little bit on how MSMEs should look at financing this. I'll come back to you on that. So Rohan, coming back to you, generally I've seen MSMEs being a little hesitant on adopting new technologies. So what's your view on that? Because technology today is playing such a pivotal role for all companies. So how should MSMEs look at it?
See, I think it's a difficult question to answer, because technology is also dependent on what market you are catering to. Technology is expensive, but once adopted and once put in the right market, it can give you a lot of profitability. Because it comes at a cost, you have to also be mindful of your pocket size. But with the kind of financing available these days, if you have a good business plan and you put the right technology in, then the growth can be multifold. At the other end, if the technology is poor, it can actually set you behind, because if the competition is investing in technology, and if you are not, then it becomes very difficult to catch up to them after some point.
True. So Pratik ji, I wanted to know, MSMEs looking at, getting solar power for their businesses. So unke paas kya options hain, and what should they look at? How should they look at calculating this whole IRR or profitability to their business?
So this is also technology, and obviously MSME has to adapt the technology. You cannot run away from the technology, otherwise you will be in the loss. There are banks who are supporting the funding of these projects, as Axis Bank is also supporting these projects. Multiple banks are supporting these projects for the funding. The debt arrangement is already available. There are the players who are providing the complete financing of the project, in which you don't need to invest anything, and there will be the power purchase agreement signed for the long-term tenure of the 15 to 25 years. In that case, the complete responsibility will be taken care by the developer, and you can enjoy the power, and you can, if you are paying the power price in Rajasthan, let's say 7.3 rupees, you can easily get the power at the 3.5 or 3.75 rupees. So that's a delta which you are getting the benefit. So this is a crystal clear commercial, I can say, if you are investing in into it also, you'll get an IRR of 24 to 30%, which is a very good IRR. I think it will give you the equivalent to your business what you're giving.
Sure. Thank you. Rohan, coming back to you, you operate in the export markets. For MSMEs who are looking to aspire to go global, certifications, regulations, impact of export business, all this becomes very critical. So what's your thought of sharing this to other MSMEs?
Certifications are definitely important because they reduce the barrier to export. And if you have certifications, they give you credibility without having history with customers. So if you approach a new customer, having certified products will reduce the barriers of entry and the business expansion can be much faster. So one has to invest in putting up a good lab, making sure the products are up to the quality and then getting international certification.
Yeah. So I think most of the times whenever I interact, generally people are a little hesitant, but I think it's important to have these certifications when you're going global.
It is worth it. If you want to export, you have to go.
Yeah. So Pratik ji, is there any impact of tariffs on your business and, availability of solar, raw material pe kuch effect hai? How should MSMEs look at it?
US and China are the teachers for us. That's what I'm considering. So China is teaching you for the long time that you should have started the manufacturing of the solar panel long back, and now start the manufacturing of the batteries in-house. And US is again teaching you that you should not be depending on exports only. You should be depending on your own market consumption also. So we should take that a very positive manner, and with the vision of the Make in India, we should focus more on the Make in India and manufacturing. Then only that will be the solution, and we can grow, like GDP can grow, and there will be no issue from these tariffs and the duties.
True. Rohan, I think picking up from what Pratik ji said, Make in India, where do you see the manufacturing setup and the MSME industries contributing on the manufacturing side?
I think it's no secret. We have to manufacture to compete with the world, and I think India is positioned correctly, both from cost of labor, availability of talent, and geopolitically. Right now, there is a bump with US, but I think India is most aligned geopolitically. So I think it's the best opportunity right now, in my opinion, and I'm living it, so I can speak for it.
Great. Pratik ji, any closing comments जो MSME के लिए आप बताना चाहेंगे आपकी इंडस्ट्री की तरफ से?
So our industry has been very dynamic. When we started in 2015, 16 we got the demonetization, 17 we got the GST, 20 again we got the COVID hit, and now we are getting the 24 we got the import duties on the China, then we are getting this US tariffs. So we have seen those cycles, but this is like you have to be your own. There is no government, there is no Trump, no Xi Jinping, those who are going to do your business. You have to do it your own only.
Agree. Thank you. Rohan, any comments from you? Closing comments?
Well, all I would say is that the foundation of our business and future of India will be driven by innovation and self-sustainability. So I would encourage everyone to go there.
Thank you both. I think, gentlemen, we had Rohan and Pratik for two reasons. One, we wanted to stress on the importance of manufacturing growing in India, and the second, of course, Rajasthan being the renewable capital. We wanted Pratik ji to share his thoughts. So thank you very much. Thank you for the patience and listening to us. Thank you.
I think that wraps up the evening for all of us, and I would once again thanks Rohan and Pratik, the real entrepreneurs from the land of Rajasthan are here. Before you guys move on, I would like to call upon Prashant Joshi sir to come over and felicitate both the entrepreneurs over here. Mr. Vijay Shetty, if you can join in. Brijesh and Ratul, if you can join in for a group photo. Brijesh and Ratul. Thank you so very much, everyone, for making for this moment for us. Thank you so very much.